Well, howdy, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, we're going to talk about Blue Iris surveillance software. And I've finally upgraded my Blue Iris, and you're about to see how I did it and why I did it right now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I finally bit the bullet and upgraded my Blue Iris software from version 4 to version 5. And let me tell you, I couldn't be happier. I really like this software. And I like version 5 even more than I liked version 4. You know what I like best about Blue Iris software? It's cheap. 65 or 69 bucks. Sometimes you can get it as low as 55, but let me tell you, I think you can, I don't even know how, 64 or 65 cameras on that, depending on your hardware. You just can't beat that price. And frankly, the features. Now, some people say that Blue Iris is too feature rich. It's too hard to use, but having used Synology's surveillance software, which I'm not a big fan of Synology's surveillance. I guess it gets the job done. But I'm old school, and I would rather have a box dedicated to my surveillance. And let me tell you why I would rather have a box dedicated to my surveillance. Because of the particular use case scenario I have. So this may not apply to you, but I am now starting to use Blue Iris to record video in my studio. And I'm going to show you how I did it and why I did it and some of the technical things about it. It's not going to be a deep dive into Blue Iris 5. Not much has changed from Blue Iris 4. But I will show you the things that have changed from Blue Iris 4 to 5 as best as I can muster. So I could babble on forever. So let's get the video started right now. Okay, so first things first. We want to export the settings for Blue Iris 4. And to verify, hopefully, we can import these settings into Blue Iris 5 when we go to load it. So, opening up Blue Iris, and I'm going to come here to the settings icon or the settings cog or configuration, and I'm going to export settings. And it's already selected my folder, so I'm going to give it today's date, which is 01/29/2021 as the name of our file. I'm going to click on save and then OK. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and turn Blue Iris off. So I'm going to come here to the startup tag and I'm going to click off on that little checkbox to run as a Windows service. Tell it OK. And then close it, and you should see our CPU usage go down to nothing. And the only thing left on there is Plex. It's up and running now. So that's good. So Plex is up and running, and then we got a couple of virtual machines running on here. All right, so let's switch over to the WinRAID server and see if we can't get Blue Iris loaded on there. So now we're over on the WinRAID server. So the first thing I want to do is come out to the drive pool. We're using the Drive Bender drive pooling software. And I'm going to go to my drive pool. As you can see, I've got about 6 terabytes free. And I'm going to create a folder here. And we're going to call this Surveillance. SURV. Now the next thing I want to do is actually get Blue Iris 5 loaded. So I have a copy of that on the network. Go to version 5 and let's see, it's the one I downloaded today, so that'll be Blue Iris on the 29th. So let's double click on that, tell it to run. Now I have an SSD drive in here, and we'll allow it to install to the C drive, and then we'll point the surveillance. Now this is the first time I've ever installed Blue Iris 5, so You're coming along for the ride. We'll click on next. It wants to install C++, so we'll let it. All right, so let's see if we can't get Blue Iris configured. So we'll launch it. We're going to run it in demo mode for now. Allow it access through the firewall. And then this is my first time using Blue Iris 5, but I think we'll be able to figure it out. So we'll go up here to the gear icon. The first thing we want to do is import our settings. So we'll want to go over to Rivendell. All right. So we'll come over to our Blue Iris folder. And I should have a backup in here from today. I do, 1/29/2021. Let's go ahead and open it. And then it says restart the software to complete the import. So we'll go ahead and restart the software. It looks like it's doing it on its own. Let's get Task Manager up here. I want to see what kind of impact we'll have on the system once it gets up and running here. Here we go. Bring this on down. All right, we'll launch Blue Iris again. Put it in demo mode. All right, so it's warning us about it says we may now uninstall version 4, but say no to deleting your settings. Just in case. Your settings were automatically backed up. Okay. Tell it okay. And so far we have an empty list. It looks like all our cameras are working though. That's a good sign. Alright, so let's go over the settings that I've got set up for Blue Iris here for my particular setup. So we come up here to the gear icon. You can see I've got my software is already activated. For my clips and archiving, I'm saving them all to the P drive, and P is my pooled drive bender drive pool, and I'm limiting the size on new footage to 200 gig and 7 days, and then stored stuff I'm limiting it to 30 days and 750 gig. But I have plenty of storage space on that P drive. Let's go out and look at it. And there's my surveillance footage. So here's my alerts. Nothing in there. New. Should have a ton of stuff in here. Let's see how much space is occupied. So 200 gig. So that's full. Let's see how it's doing on this one. Oh, interesting. There's nothing in there. It says. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I lied. Let's give it a minute to update the properties. So that's 747 gigs. So I'm wondering if I shouldn't increase this new folder. We'll go ahead and we'll make that, let's go ahead and double that. We'll make that 400 gig for 7 days. And the stored we'll take that up to 950. Because again, I'm using this to and then alerts, we need to make that, wow, probably 200 gig. I'm just guessing here. I'm going to click on OK so it saves those new settings. Because I'm using this to also record video for my studio, I want to make sure that I give enough hard drive space so that if I have to go back, if I forget, oh man, I had that footage from 10 days ago and I forgot to export it or to convert it, I'll be able to go back a little bit further in case I make a boo-boo. So the other thing, so that was clips and archiving. Startup, I've got it set up to run as a Windows service. That way it starts every time I restart Windows. And yeah, clips and archiving. And there's nothing else here that I need to bring to your attention. Now, what I do need to do is go into the individual cameras and tell you why I've set them the way I set them. Now, for the living room camera, if I were to right-click on it and go to camera settings, you'll see that I've got it set up to trigger with a motion sensor. So, hang on a second, record. So if I come under record, I've got it set to record video when triggered. And you can see the little red circle, or the little red square that goes around. It means the camera is triggered and it's recording. I find that works best for the cameras in the house. Just I let it detect the motion and then record when it needs to. One of the big things though is video file format and compression. So once you've paid for Blue Iris, you take it out of demo mode. One of the nice things you have, if you go under here, is you can record then direct to disk. So that means the video does not have to be re-encoded. It'll burn it right to as an H.264 or H.265 with a hardware encoder. So I record in Blue Iris format because it just allows me more flexibility, and then I do a direct to disk. So make sure on every one of your cameras, once you've taken Blue Iris out of trial mode, that you make sure you save it direct to disk. Your life will be much happier and you'll have a lot less impact on your system. The other thing you want to do is, if you have a video card, and I do, I have an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 950. So the other thing you want to do is come here to video, and you want to make sure your hardware decoder is set to the proper video card you have. If you had AMD, you can do, I don't know if you can do it with an AMD video card or not. You can do DirectX. I don't see NVIDIA on here. I mean, I don't see the AMD on here. But again, I don't have an AMD video card in here, so that may be why I'm not seeing it. But we'll leave that set to the way it is. Now, on this camera up here, this is my, well, actually, this camera here, which is my office camera. So if you come to camera settings, you come here to record, and you'll see that's set when triggered as well. But this camera over here is set to record. Oh, no, it's set to record when triggered as well. Okay, but I have this camera set to, let's see, trigger, record. Yeah, I have this set to continuous record. So I want it always recording in my backyard, because I found out when I use motion detect, sometimes I miss stuff. So I just set these to continuous recording and let it, overwrite the footage as needed. So that's the basic configuration of my Blue Iris. Now the other thing I do is, for these cameras, I also record at 30 frames per second with the full image format. That way I get a good quality video. Camera settings, so come here as well. I'm sorry. Come here to video. Again, 30 frames per second, because I want a good, really good quality video. And these Amcrest pan tilt zoom cameras I'm using provide a really good image, a crisp, clear image, as you've seen on my videos. So how do I get footage out of these cameras? Well, it's very simple. I just come here to the clips section. I just highlight my camera, come to the clips, and then, for example, like say I want some of this footage here at 3:17 in the afternoon. So it's very simple. It's already playing the video, as you can see. But I just basically come here and go to Convert Export. And then I choose what section of the video I want. So we'll say we want it to start at 4:24. And we want it to end at 10:03. So I want the video between that portion. I click on, and you see my output format comes up here. I can select MPEG-4 or Windows Media, or even AVI. I always do MP4. Include the audio track. You can include it or not. It's up to you. Then just simply click on Begin Export, and it'll go out and create an exported, or a video that can export. You click on it, and then your browser comes up, and you can do Save As, and you can, save it anywhere you want to. All right, so let's talk about one of the most important features. As you can see, if I bring up Task Manager right now, very little impact on my Ryzen 5, and it's only a 1600, not a 2600. Don't know why it keeps identifying it as a 16 or as a 26, but that's a thing for another day. You see my memory usage is up, and that's good. We want our memory to be used. But the big one for me is this. Look, my GPU is finally being used for something. My GTX 950, my long suffering. This is the video card I started out my YouTube channel with. And it's nice to see it being put back to work full time. And it's doing a great job of encoding video for Blue Iris. And let me show you what I needed to do to get that to work. So we'll just right click on any one of these images and go to camera settings. Come down here to video, and then right here where it says hardware decode. Once you've installed your video card and your video card drivers, which I have, this server or this machine is simply running Windows 10 Pro. So and it would work with Server 2019 as well, just in case. I've got it set up to use the NVIDIA decoder to do the encoding of the video. And it's really interesting because I watched when I flip that, you can do it on the fly. When I flip that over, and you can do it for each camera. So why don't I just show you? So let's go to camera settings, let's go to video. So I can turn that just to default. We'll go ahead and flip that, let the camera switch, and then you'll see our usage should go down on our NVIDIA video card just a bit and go up on our CPU as and you see it drop down here, right here, and you can see here it's spiked up just a little bit. So yeah, it's good. If you've got a video card, I would suggest using it for the encoder. I'm gonna go ahead and flip that back and to NVIDIA and OK. Then the camera should flip and change, and then we should see our GPU usage go back up a bit and our CPU usage come down. So yeah, and the GTX 950 is not a high-end video card by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know about now with video card prices being as they are, but you can typically pick one of these video cards up for next to nothing and pop it into that machine. So yet another task we have our WinRAID server doing now, and it's nice to see that box being put to good use. I could have easily put this on my Dell R720, but I wanted to put it on a machine, with a high-end machine with a dedicated video card, because I depend on this box to record my videos for now that I have these, this shot for my office and this shot for my overhead. I really depend on Blue Iris to keep those recordings for me. Now the other thing I can do, if you'll bear with me a second. Can you see me now? Can you see me now? I can capture that camera. I can capture that camera. Which is what I'm doing right now. I can capture that camera live through OBS, as well as my top-down camera. I just haven't set up the shot yet. But there you go. You can see it. You can see me capturing the video live as we're filming here. So if you watched my video on about changing my set around, you've seen my new backdrop for my workbench. You know now that I've started filming from this workstation instead of my main workstation over there. And I just wanted to give a more. I thought that was too cold, too robotic, too much of a, like a sterile interface, and I wanted to kind of get my production standards up there. And the big thing for me has always been the top-down shot on my workbench when I'm working on something. So with the help of Joe Trelli over at Cajoling Technology, we had a Zoom meeting one night where I wanted to bounce some ideas off of Joe's big brain, because his production standards and Tony's production standards over at Quick Tech Solutions are just way far and above mine. And what I wanted to do, I had this idea that I wanted to use these Amcrest pan tilt zoom cameras, which are good quality cameras. They're easily as good as my Logitech C920, which I've been using for years to do my YouTube videos. They're as good a quality as that. So I thought if I could mount a camera like that, a pan tilt zoom camera on an extension arm overhead, that kind of thing. Well, what Joe did was help me figure out that I could then feed that video not only to Blue Iris, but I could feed it to the OBS Studio, Open Broadcast Studio, as an RTSP stream, I believe it is, yeah. So that's what I did, but suffice it to say that I've got it working now. So I've got one overhead camera shot on my bench. I've also got a side camera shot, and I might be moving that camera. I don't know yet exactly whether I want to put it on the other side of the studio and have it shoot, but then it'll be shooting my back. So maybe I'll keep it where it is, move it out a little bit. I haven't figured that out logistically yet. But I got to tell you, the biggest thing for me with Blue Iris is it used to be when I went to save footage, I had to export it as an AVI file, and then I would have to run it through Handbrake. Well, now what I'm doing is you can export it as an MP4 file. It'll convert the file on the fly for you. So I've fixed these cameras to both run at 1080p, 30 frames per second on both the bench and the I call one the bench camera and one the overhead camera. They're running both at 30 frames per second, 1080p, a good bit rate on them, so that I can go back at any point in time and I can export footage from either one of these cameras and then import it into DaVinci, just like I would my Canon camera or my Logitech C920. And then I can integrate all that footage. It's like having a second camera operator without paying for one. And you know me, I'm the king of cheap, so that's right up my alley. So as I learn new stuff about Blue Iris, and one of the other things I've learned about Blue Iris is that you can dump all of the duties of recording and encoding video over to a video card. So I put Blue Iris on WinRAID, on my WinRAID server. That's where it's running. One, I've got lots of storage over there, cheap storage. Two, it's a Ryzen 5 1600 processor, more than powerful enough. Three, it wasn't doing anything else, and you know, the whole idea behind the WinRAID server is to get it to do everything that Unraid can do. So why not why not surveillance video and recording video for my studio? Good idea, right? Plus it has that GTX 950 video card in there that wasn't doing anything. Well, I've now been able to put that to work with Blue Iris and have Blue Iris encode the video through the video card on the fly. And it's really cool because as you change the setting on Blue Iris, you see your CPU usage go down and your GPU usage go up. So it's magic. I love the product. I chose it over Synology Surveillance Station. The main reason was the cost. And in my case, the cost forced me to learn how to use Blue Iris properly. So there's lots of neat bells and whistles, and I'm sure Synology is a fine surveillance product, but I just chose to go with Blue Iris for my needs. So yeah, it was a no fuss, no muss, the install, the upgrade. I was able to take all my settings from my Blue Iris 4, because you can back up the settings, all the camera settings, all the tedious stuff, and import it right into Blue Iris 5. Then I was able to activate the software, and it's running great on this WinRAID server. I haven't had any issues at all, other than I noticed the other day I kept getting the video was lagging out on the monitor screen, and you know, I was getting a little time, the little clock indicator in Blue Iris, which means you don't have enough bandwidth. I thought, oh well, I got 9 cameras on it now, it's just too much. No, I went back to WinRAID, and WinRAID goes, it's in my rack right now, and it's got a gigabit connection, but it goes through one of those keystone jacks on my patch panel, and evidently one of those keystone jacks again, you know, the pass-through keystone jacks has got a problem with tension on the little wires in it, and it wasn't making good contact, and I was only getting 100 megabit speeds. So I'm surprised it worked at all, and that I was able to get footage out of it. And again, like I said, that's one of the great benefits of the new Blue Iris 5, is that you can export right into MP4 without having to go through the interim AVI file. So yeah, it's a win-win for me. I'm glad I made the change, and as you can see, we can get some great shots now with this new setup. So there you go, folks. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative. As always, we hope you like the new set locations, what we're bringing to you, the content. Give us a thumbs up down below for our hard work. Leave your comments down in the comments section. Donate if you're so inclined. We take PayPal. We take Patreon. And we have the YouTube join function. So for $2 a month, it automatically reoccurs. You don't have to think about it. $1, $2 a month goes greatly toward helping keep this channel, keeping products in here so we can evaluate them for you, and making changes to our studio. And there will be more to come as well. Thanks again for coming to see us, and please don't forget, we'll see you on the other side.